एष देवो विश्वकर्मा महात्मा सदा जनानां हृदये सन्निविष्टः स्वराज्य साम्राज्य विभूतिरेषा भवत्कृपा श्रीमहिमप्रसादात् प्राप्ता मया श्रीगुरवे महात्मने नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमस्तस्मै सदैकस्मै कस्मै चिन्महसे नमः यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते हरि तत्सत्। We have completed the 20 qualities. That's the most important part of this chapter. Rest of it is only further explanation of the kshetrajna, because kshetra part they have already discussed. We should not forget. People are changing, that is the problem. That many people I see, those who have not come earlier, and those who have been coming earlier, they have learnt and gone back. So seeing new face I have problem, because what is to be told, because many things are always connected to the previous. Yesterday I connected the whole discussion with Raja Yoga of Patanjali, that Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and it was a very deep discussion. I also relished while hearing it, whatever was coming out. It was a very substantial discussion. So those who were coming regularly, some of you did not come. But that we cannot replenish every time. By the way, yesterday I was not able to remember that Subhashitam, which suddenly today in the washroom it came to my mind. The words used were wrong. Yesterday I was saying Mukham Chandradalakaram. Actually Chandradalakaram does not mean, because Chandra doesn't have Dala. Dala means the petals. The verse is Mukham Padmadalakaram. That is, the face is like the lotus petals. Padma means lotus. Padmadalakaram means like lotus petals. So the first line will be Mukham Padmadalakaram Vachas Chandana Shitala. So I said Shitalam, which is absolutely wrong, because it is thrilling. Vachas Chandana Shitala Hridayam Vanhi Santaptam. Yesterday I could not remember anything. I was telling Antaram. Just I replaced. I knew that it is wrong, but I replaced with Antaram Vanhi Santaptam. Actually it is Hridayam Vanhi Santaptam Trividham Dushta Lakshanam. As the face is like the lotus petal, beautiful face. Anybody will be pleased to see the face. Vachaha Vachas Chandana Shitala. Vachaha Chandana Shitala. It is cooling, like as we put the sandalwood paste, it appears, it cools, it feels cool. Like that, the words are so cooling, so sweet and nectarine. But the Hridayam Vanhisantattam, which is not visible, is inside, is like fire burning inside. It is all heated with fire. Trividham Dushta Lakshanam. These three are together, they represent Dushta, naughty. You don't understand? So such humorous subhashitams are also there. Acha, now let us come back. We will chant from the 11th verse. Adhyatmajnana nityatvam tatvajnanartha darshanam etajnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. So the last two was Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam and Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam, which we discussed in great detail yesterday. Now enumerating all these 20 qualities, he said that Eta Jnanam iti proktam. This is called knowledge. This is defined as knowledge. And whatever against this, opposite of this is ignorance. Ajnanam yadato nyatha. Anything against this, other than this, is ignorance. Now, right in the beginning, in the first few discourses I had mentioned, that initially he said that kshetrajna is the knower, sharira is the body, is the field, and knower of the field is the kshetrajna. Kshetra and kshetrajna like that, which appears to be very easy. But then the next verse he says, kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. There the difficulty comes. Because he said that kshetrajna is the kshetrajna in all the kshetras. Now we feel that I know my body, I don't know the others. But the real Atma is the Atma of all. So I discussed in great detail that what we know as Atma, what we think as Atma is the like light coming in and you put mirrors there. So the reflected beam we think is our consciousness, that is the Chidabhasa we call in Shastras. And with that we feel I am conscious. But truly speaking, the consciousness is the light coming from the top, which is reflected by millions of mirrors. The light is only the same light. When the mirror breaks, nothing happens to the light. Only the reflected beam, that is no more available. It is just like when the radio becomes defective, one circuit breaks, nothing happens to the waves which are propagating in the air, everywhere. But we don't know the waves. When the radio is there, we come to know it is reproducing the voice and sound and all. Like that, with the association of the body, it becomes known. When the reflected beam is there, we feel that. But the knowledge of the real kshetrajna is when the mirror is turned upward towards the original light. When the light is coming and you are turning the mirror towards the original light, then the reflected beam gets merged with the original light. There is no reflected beam at all. Is it not? So then we don't see the world. With the reflected beam we were seeing the world. Now you don't see the world at all. Nothing is known about the objectude. But we come to know the real light, the consciousness. This I said is exactly, it is a replica, illustration of samadhi, the nirvikalpa samadhi we speak about. In samadhi, what we are doing is trying to find out what is that I in us, which is revealing the external world, which is revealing the internal world of thoughts, emotions, everything, which is revealing our mind, which is revealing our intelligence. What is that revealer, which is revealing everything? Everywhere we are find what is revealed. Our focus is always on the revealed. Here the book is revealed. Our focus is on the book. But the revealer is the consciousness. Without the consciousness, the book will not be revealed. But we miss the consciousness because our focus is always on small things, limited things, on objects or on the objectude. So we miss the revealer, our focus being always on the revealed. Now when you turn the mirror, that means we are turning towards the consciousness. And when we really turn towards the consciousness, when it happens, then the whole world is not there, but the consciousness, the reflected beam, which we feel our eye, that gets merged with the universal eye. So there we come to know the Atma, the real Atma, which is same as the Paramatma, which is same as the Brahman. This was the discussion in the beginning, where kshetrajna was being discussed. Then kshetra was discussed in the few verses after that, where they pointed out clearly sanghatas chetana, that is a part of the kshetra. Sanghata means the body, mind, personality, aggregate. It's called sanghata. Sanghatas chetana means the chetana, the consciousness we feel, which is manifest through in the association of the body-mind complex. That is the sanghata. So that sanghatas chetana also he has put in the kshetra. It is not the kshetrajna. So to explain that, we had discussed all these things. Now he completed the discussion on kshetra and then went over to the 20 qualities. Amanitvam, adambhitvam, etc. We took up each quality and showed that the parakashta of that quality, that is, if you take that quality to the peak, to its highest level, it is nothing but the knowledge which we said that the universality of our identity, the universal identity, it takes to universal identity. So those 20 qualities, after enumerating them, he says, Etad jnanam iti proktam. That means this is called knowledge. Now there he said, kshetrajna and kshetra's knowledge is called knowledge. Here he is saying, the aggregate of these qualities is called knowledge. I have discussed it earlier also, I am just summarizing. How this happens? Because if we really actualize that universal identity, then automatically these qualities will belong to us. It will automatically be expressed through the personality. But as a sadhana, when we are progressing, then these qualities can be utilized as sadhana, as our pursuit. As we grow in the quality, we come closer and closer to that ultimate universal identification. That is why we said that the jnana, the knowledge, in this case, is such that it is the sadhana, sadhya, siddhi also. Why? Because when what is the sadhya? Means by pursuit, what we aim to gain. We are aiming to gain knowledge. So sadhya is jnana. Now why are we calling it sadhana also? Because the pursuit itself is jnana. And we start practicing the knowledge, and we get to the higher and higher steps in the ladder of knowledge like that. And what is the siddhi? Finally, what we come to know is we are nothing but knowledge. That I said, the Rig Vedic, the earliest Veda, the Mahavakya, the great statement of Rig Veda is Prajnanam Brahma. This is the great discovery of our land, which the world over all will take to one day or other. They have even taken to it long back, about 100 years or more back, when scientists like quantum physics was being discussed. Eddington and Niels Bohr and others were there. They all said that there lies the real truth. That science, it is not within the ambit of science, but there lies the real truth about the consciousness which India has discovered. See, they have mentioned that knowledge as the ultimate truth. But this knowledge is not the usual knowledge we feel. That there is a knower and we are knowing something. So there is a knower, there is a knowing something, and there is a process of knowing. There is knower, there is knowledge, there is a process of knowing. It is not like that, because there is no duality. At that point, what I said is Nirvikalpa Samadhi, or when you are looking at the original light, then there is no division at all. I am knowing this, that I is not separate. I gets merged in that. So the ultimate knowledge, which we say consciousness, but whenever we say consciousness, we think that consciousness is also something objective. There lies the greatest mistake. When we are saying consciousness, all of us will think that consciousness also can be known as something different from me. Consciousness can, or the Atma, or the Brahman, can never be known as different from me. It is self-revealing. If it is different from me, then it becomes an object. Whatever we know as different from me, it is an object before us. Object means it can be subtle, it can be gross, it can be anything. Suppose the concept of God, it is an object before me because I am knowing what is the concept of God. Even if Brahman, whatever concept we have formed, it is a concept in my mind and I am the revealer in me. The consciousness is revealing that concept. So it is always an object. It's becoming difficult. I am cautioning in that whenever we are looking at this Atma or Brahman, the ultimate truth or consciousness, this idea of objectitude will have to go. Otherwise, we will never be able to arrive at it. Even intellectually also, we will never be able to come to it. Forget about the actualization of the truth. Actualization means realization of the truth. First, we have to understand it intellectually. Then only we can follow the proper procedure. Otherwise, in meditation also, we will try to look for the self. In meditation, you go deeper and deeper, but you try to look for the self. You will never know the self. Self will never appear before you. Because your very pursuit is self-defeating. Why? Because you are trying to know the self as different from you. But the self is the subject. Self is what you are. If you know the self as something you are knowing, then it is not the self. The self is knowing it. So your very process of trying to know the self as different from you is self-defeating. Self-defeating means it is bound to fail. Because you cannot detect it. If at all anything you see, it is not the self. So when we stop this tendency of looking outward for anything, looking outward or inward, wherever, discovering something or finding something or looking for something, as long as this tendency does not go, self cannot reveal itself. When this tendency goes, then only there is nothing to reveal for the self. When the whole world is forgotten means world consists of my personality also, my body-mind personality also. When the whole world, including my body-mind personality, is forgotten, then only the self will reveal itself. This we have to understand, otherwise we will not be able to break this knot. So, here they said that this is called jnana, and there they said the jnana of the knowledge of kshetra and kshetrajna. Now, through this discussion throughout, I have been trying to focus that all these 20 qualities, as we have explained, they are all forming the knowledge of the kshetrajna. That kshetrajna idea is getting consolidated through all these things. And in pursuit, they will all mean the final attainment of knowledge. Now, when the siddhi comes, siddhi is we become the knowledge, that we get merged in the knowledge, we get dissolved in the knowledge. So, knowledge is the ultimate siddhi also. This is the speciality of knowledge pursuit. This is the speciality of jnana. That the jnana itself is the sadhana, and truly speaking, it is the sadhaka also, because the sadhaka's real identity is this knowledge. It is the sadhana, it is the sadhya, it is the siddhi also. Everything is knowledge and knowledge alone. So, now let us come to the next verse. Jneyam yat tat pravakshyami yajñātvā mritam anādimat param brahma na sattanna saduchyate. He says, Jneyam yat tat pravakshyami. Now I will tell you what is Jneya. That is the Brahman or the truth or the Atma, whatever he is saying. It is Jneya means what is to be known. What is to be known? I will tell you. Yajñātva amritam asnute. It is not an ordinary to be known. Whatever we know, suppose we know the camera, nothing happens to us, we know the camera. If we know the car, if we know the building, if we know various things, if we know the elementary particles, nothing happens to us. In all these knowledges, subject knowledge, if I learn English, nothing happens to us as such. We know it. But this knowledge is not like that. That is what I am trying to hammer again and again. This knowledge, through the knowledge, you get transformed, we get transformed. We undergo a transformation. So, he says, yajñātva, that jnayam, which is to be known, if it is known, yajñātva, amritam ashnute, one attains immortality. The change is not a little change, that you become rich or you become president of India or you become president of USA. Nothing like that. You become immortal, not bodily, but you come to know that, we come to know that we are immortal. Actually, we always say that immortality is not to be gained. Immortal everybody is. That is why our rishis, they exhorted us saying that Shrinvantu sarve amritasya putraha. Oh, you listen, you are all children of immortality. That means you are all immortal. But you don't know that you are immortal. So, immortality is not created. Immortal we are. But when the ignorance goes, we come to know that we are immortal. So he says, yajñātva amritam ashnute. This immortality, amritam, is not an attainment. But with the knowledge, the ignorance is removed. And then what remains? The immortality remains. You come to know that. See, the whole purpose of knowledge is not that with the knowledge I will become something great. The purpose of knowledge is to remove the ignorance, the opposite of it. When that is removed, then the purpose of knowledge is served. What remains? That is the truth. So they say that is why they say that it cannot be expressed. The truth cannot be expressed because all our languages are within the ken of duality. Everything, whatever we express, it is within the ken of duality. We can only hint at the transcendental, non-dual knowledge. But it cannot be expressed fully with our words, because words are all within the ken of duality. So, there is a shloka which says, what we are studying now, Vedanta, is called Advaita. That is, ultimate knowledge is, we call, it is not one, actually it is transcendental. But Advaita means non-dual. Dvaita means dual, Advaita means non-dual. We don't say monism, we say non-dualism. That is very important. It is not one truth or one Ishvara or one God, anything like that. It is non-dual. That means duality is eliminated. The shloka says, Dvaitadvaita vivarjite samarase maunam param sammatam. That we are pursuing Advaita. But the truth is, when the Advaita removes the Dvaita, Dvaita, Advaita, Vivarjita. Vivarjita means removed. When Dvaita removes Advaita, then both are redundant. Dvaita, Advaita, both are redundant. Dvaita, Advaita, Vivarjita. Then comes the Samarasa, which there is no change, nothing. That is the real Samatva, the ultimate Samatva. Samarase maunam param sammatam. That is the ultimate, and you cannot express it. Maunam is the expression. Maunam means silence. You don't have word to express. Dvaitadvaita vivarjite samarase maunam param sammatam. These are very great statements because it is in the Advaita philosophy itself this statement will come. It is not a philosophy, it is a pursuit. So, when the knowledge, it completely washes off the ignorance, then the truth shines in its own luster. That is the point. So he says that jnayam yattat pravakshyami, I will tell you whatever to be known, by knowing which you will become immortal. Because this mortality, idea of mortality is ignorance that will go from you. Anadimat param brahma, the supreme Brahman, it does not have any adi, it does not have a beginning, it does not have end, it does not have any change at all. By saying that what they are saying, it is beyond time. That don't think that it is in the objective ken. This jnayam, which they are saying about jnayam, by knowing which you will become immortal, that is not within the ken of causality, duality, time, space. It is not in the objectude at all. It is the subject in which the whole objectude, the whole universe which contains my body, mind, personality also, that whole objectude is revealed in that, is appearing in that. It is that consciousness. So, anadimat param brahma, na sat tanna asadutyate, na sat tat na asadutyate. Now, see the contradiction they put deliberately. Na sat. Generally we say always that the Atma is Sat, Brahman is Sat, that is the only Sat, that is the real reality, the ultimate reality. Don't we say that? Here he is saying he is neither the Sat nor the Asat. Because our Sat is generally it is only to point out that it is not in the objectude. We say something is existing when we find it to be existing, either gross in front of our eyes or subtly also. That mind. We say mind is existing when we are knowing my mind. We can say it is existing. Is it not? You cannot see the mind, you cannot infer the mind, but you can know the mind as different. You are revealing the mind, the consciousness is revealing the mind, we can know the mind. So existence is something existing before us as different from us. So when we say Sat, generally the existence, immediately we think that the Atma one day I will see as really something existing. As Ramakrishna Dev said, the Vivekananda told Vivekananda that I have seen, I can also show you. So we will think that like that we will be able to see. It cannot be seen, it cannot be perceived by any means at all. Because it is not an objective existence. So it is neither an existence nor a non-existence also. Because if you see that nothing is existing, it is all shunya. That is also objective shunya, it is not subject. If you get confused, I cannot do anything. This can be understood only in this manner. I am only trying to make it easy. Provided you keep away all your pre-conditioning of whatever you have learnt here, there and all, and try to match with that, you will have difficulty. Otherwise it is very simple. Provided you understand object and subject, that part. Anything that we know, it is revealed to us, is an object. You don't think that object is something to be touched and felt, a gross object. A concept in our mind is revealed by the consciousness, so the concept is an object before us. If that you remember, then nowhere there can be any difficulty. I will not accept if you say there is difficulty. If you have difficulty, it means there is some preconcept. Oh, board में बहुत कुछ लिखा है इधर उधर, उसके ऊपर कैसे लिखेंगे? कोरा कागज में लिख सकते हैं, तब तुरंत दिखेगा. अगर कोरा कागज नहीं है, हम वहाँ से पुनर्जन्म लाएंगे, यहाँ से कर्म थ्योरी लाएंगे, यहाँ से ये लगाएंगे, वो लगाएंगे और उसके ऊपर देखेंगे तो सब बिगड़ जाएगा. जैसे न्यूज़पेपर में जो लिखते हैं ना, रिपोर्ट आ रहा है रोज़, वैसा ही होता है. इधर से एक लाइन वो लाइन लिखे, वो जो साधारण लोग जो कुछ भी जानते हैं वही बन जाता है. हम जो कुछ बोलते हैं कुछ भी नहीं आता है. Nobody should feel bad about it, but it is so. What can be done? Because this understanding, if it is not there, they will not be able to accept it. They will take lines where they can put in their frame and then put it. We have a standard frame of reference. If it is not seen in that, then we reject it. Put it in the standard frame of reference. तो सब कुछ वही बन जाता है कि धर्म है, आत्मा है, आत्मा को जानने से मोक्ष प्राप्ति हो जाता है. ये इतने बार लिखने का क्या ज़रूरत? हर दिन वही चल रहा है. So, we have to take it with the freshness of mind, openness of mind. Then the truth will dawn. Anadimat param brahma na sat tan nasadutyate. It is neither sat nor asat. It is neither the existence nor the non-existence. Existence means it is not existing before me as different from me. Truly speaking, it is the only existence. It is the essence of existence. Without this, nothing can be done. See, anything in the world, can it appear if it is not revealed by the consciousness? Even the sun is revealing everything, but the sun will not be known if the consciousness is not there. So without consciousness we cannot have anything at all. That is the only real essence of existence. But it is not existing as different from me. It can only be known as amness. So it can be touched only within, not within. It can be touched as the I itself. Even within is wrong. Within, without, everything is in that. Then comes some illustrative description. Sarvatah panipadam tat sarvatokshishiro mukham sarvatah shrutimaloke sarvamavritya tishtati sarvendriya gunabhasam sarvendriya vivarjitam asaktam sarvavrityaiva nirgunam gunabhoktricha. Those who are attending the morning classes, you can see how the Upanishadic truths are incorporated in Bhagavad Gita. This is parallel to our sloka number 6 in the first chapter of Mundaka Upanishad, which I said is the first sloka where the entire truth is spoken of. That is, of course, having a greater magnitude and depth. And here, in a little simplified way, the same thing is expressed. That is why at the end of each chapter, Bhagavad Gita says, Bhagavad Gita su Upanishad su. That means it is only the Upanishadic truth which is being presented in a different manner, in a different framework. He says, Sarvatah pani padam tat. Pani means hand and padam means foot, leg. He says that everywhere this Brahman has his feet and hands. Everywhere this Brahman has his feet and hands. Now you form an image of that. Can you see such a Brahman where everywhere feet are there and everywhere hands are there? Much more than Ravana. Ravana had only 10 heads and some hands and feet. Can you imagine? So they are trying to put you into trouble. You imagine that and come out to your own concept of God, what it is. Sarvatah panipadam tat. His legs and hands, they are everywhere. What does it mean? There is a shloka in Upanishad. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate natat samaha cha abhyatikascha drishyate parasyar shaktir vividhaiva shruyate swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha न तत्र कार्यं करणं च विद्यते न तत्समश्चाभ्यधिकश्च दृश्यते परास्यर्शक्तिर्विविधैव श्रूयते स्वाभाविकी ज्ञानबलक्रिया. This is from Shvetashvatara Upanishad. He says, Natasya karyam. He does not have anything to be done by him. Karanam. He does not have any of the karanam. Legs, hands, those are also not there. See, contradiction. No legs, no hands. Here he says, everywhere hands, everywhere legs. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Natat samaha cha abhyadikascha drishyate. There is nothing parallel to him or surpassing him also. Transcendental. Asya parashaktir vividhaiva shruyate. His energy or his power, the supreme power, that is called the parashaktir. It is not like the ordinary energy. It is the power which makes the whole universe appear in the consciousness. In another verse, he will say, Tapasa chiyate Brahma. It is his tapas, it is his austerity. What kind of tapas? Yasya jnanamayam tapaha. See, coming back to the knowledge again. The fundamental, ultimate reality is knowledge. So whatever formations are taking place, they are all in knowledge. Now, here he says that Asya parashaktir vividhaiva shruyate. The whole universe is appearing to be, the galaxies are getting born, the galaxies are getting destroyed, plants are growing, human beings are functioning, this, that, everything. They are all appearance of that parashakti, of that consciousness. And how does it happen? Swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. Swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. Swabhaviki, what does it mean? The other day I said sahaja. Ultimately it is all sahaja. That means it's natural. There is no effort involved. In our work, all our work, there is lot of effort. Only the breathing takes place effortlessly. Those who are not having disease. Our breathing, it takes place effortlessly because we don't have to do it. You don't need ahankara to breathe. Do you need? Prana going on, functioning in our body, no effort is necessary. Nowadays we put medicine and all, but that is only a support. But it is not effortful, it is easy. But whatever else we do, everything is effortful. For getting a little food, how much of marketing, how much of cooking, how much of fighting goes on. Everything is effortful. But in this huge universe, what is happening? Can you imagine what is happening? Nobody can imagine the kind of activities going on everywhere. Even you cannot imagine the speed at which the earth is going around the sun, or the moon is going around the earth. Particularly the earth is going around the sun. So much of activity, but there is no effort. Swabhaviki, it is all swabhaviki. As the flower blossoms effortlessly, as the leaves in the night, whatever you saw, in the morning you find so many more leaves have come. Each leaf contains how many molecules? All these activities have taken place without our knowledge, without our seeing. Swabhaviki. Anything happening in nature is swabhaviki. Provided we don't put our ahankara, ego and effort over there. Everything is spontaneous, it is sahaja, it is swabhaviki. Swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. It is a movement in the knowledge. And the bala, the power of this movement is coming from the knowledge. And that is how all the activities are manifest in the world. Whatever activities we are saying in the universe, it is getting manifest. It is called the kriya. We have in Sanskrit such a word also. It is not karma, it is kriya. Whatever we are doing, they are called karma because it is desire motivated. Whatever is effortful, whatever is motivated by desire, they are called karma. For a knower, there is no karma. Knower becomes sahaja. For him, he may do much more than 10 people's activity, but it's all kriya. It is swabhaviki. It is sahaja. So the whole universe is functioning with this swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. This one line you should remember. Jnana bala kriyacha. Had there been desire, there would have been lot of problem. Will not the earth say after some time that, oh, I have been running for millions of years, let me take rest today for a minute. A desireful activity is always like that. And what would have happened if any of the grahas, they rest for a second or a fraction of a second? Can you imagine? Everything is going on, such tremendous activities are going on. Everything is sahaja. Birth, death, destruction, creation, everything in a beautiful harmony. Because it is sahaja, there is a beautiful rhythm, harmony in nature. In that harmony, everything is going on. But we human beings try to spoil that harmony with our ego, with our desire. Break that harmony. If we can get tuned with this infinitude, tuned with this harmony, then all problems will go. Everything will flow in this natural way. Our human civilization has lived on this earth for how many thousands of years we don't know. These scriptures are how many thousands of years we don't know, because they are prehistoric. We cannot say. It could be 10,000, it could be 20,000, it could be 50,000 also. How can we say? At least 10,000 we know. But we cannot say. It is prehistoric. There was no history. Have this thousands of years of human life spoiled the earth as we have done over the last 50 years? Anywhere near that. Nothing had happened before the Industrial Revolution, 150 years or 200 years ago. Everything was functioning in the same manner, in the natural manner. I am not blaming the industry and science. It is there, but we have not been able to keep the harmony with it. We have forgotten ourselves in the process. We have become slave to the machine. And in the process, we have lost our mastery of our freedom, of our sahaja life. So, sarvatah panipadam tat sarvatokshi shiromukham. Everywhere it has eyes, its eyes are everywhere. Everywhere it has head, shiraha, and mukham also, mouth. That means all the functions that we do with the head, mouth, legs, hands, etc., those functions are there naturally by that asya parashaktihi. That parashakti's function actually is taking place everywhere. It does not have to have a fragmented mouth, a fragmented body, a fragmented eye or anything. That Chaitanya is there everywhere, manifesting as the whole universe. Sarvata Shrutimal Loke. Shrutimat means ears also. That was not there in the first line. So everywhere it has ears. Sarvam avritya tishtati. It is covering up everything we can think of. Now, whenever we say such expressions, covering up, etc., we again think in terms of objectude. That as if there is something called the Atma or the consciousness or Brahman which is covering everything. No! The whole universe is appearing in that consciousness. It is not covering. They are in it. Without that, nothing can exist at all. This extension you always will have to make to get at that reality. Sarvendriya gunabhasam, sarvendriya vivarjitam. Sarvendriya guna abhasam. That whatever the indriyas, our sense organs are perceiving, like the objective qualities like sound, light, etc., they are all manifesting on what? Without the consciousness, can we know light? Can we know sound? Can we know anything of the Panchabhutas? So they are all becoming manifest with the support of being manifest on the substratum of this consciousness. So all the indriyas, abhasas, their qualities, they are all there in it. They are possible only because of this. But at the same time, sarvendriya vivarjitam, it does not have any of the sense organs. In some place, in the previous line, he said it has the indriyas everywhere. All the jnanendriya or karmendriya everywhere. Now he says that it does not have indriya. Why they are deliberately lighting like this? Because we have to get out of that conception of limitation, conception of the objectude. That is why. I said the other day, I did not finish it that day. Even in the religion also, are we not saying God is all-pervading, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient? But as we consider God, we flout all these three. If He is omnipresent, then why do we go to the temple to worship? Or why do you go to the puja room to worship? Why do you have to think? If you don't go anywhere also, sitting, closing your eyes, you think somewhere He is sitting in the sky. Is it not so? If He is everywhere, He is within me also. Not only He is within me, He is the I we are. There is no distance, zero. Not even a little distance. Our hands and feet are at a greater distance than the I. Our heart, the physiological heart, is also at a greater distance than this reality, than our I. So, knowing that this is what God is, we take help of the going to the puja room, going to the temple, because otherwise we will never remember that there is some transcendental existence. I am not saying that we should not do it. Let us do it. Let us take the help of all these things. But let us remember that it is everywhere, and the only place it can be felt and known and realized is as the amness in us, within us. Nowhere else. We cannot know it in the camera, we cannot know it in the light, anywhere. It can be known only as the amness in us. God, we say, is omniscient because He knows everything. Then why do we pray? Before we pray, He knows what is needed for me. We pray wrongly always. Suppose a person, if he survives, he may become a vegetative life for the rest of the life, or may become paralytic and suffer more, not knowing that we want him to be saved. Is it not so? When some close person is suffering, and we are praying that, oh God, save him, save him, save him. God knows by saving what is going to happen, but we don't know. So we always want the person to be saved. But by what do we mean by saving? Maybe he will come back to life, but if he remains in paralysis throughout another 20 years or 40 years on bed, then what will you do? How will you look after? By that time he will also become 70 years old, 80 years old, or 90 years old. Who will look after whom? So even praying also, not knowing what is good for us, we pray. But is prayer necessary? If God is omniscient and if we have faith in that omniscience, does He not know before we pray? But knowing that also we pray. We can pray because we are not able to put our power of the mind unless we think of such a God. Perhaps to put the mind power also, we need a God as a prop. That is fine. That way it's okay. But let us not be deluded that this is the prayer needed and the God will listen to the prayer and then He will work on. We violate all these things in religion also. If we truly accept religion, all these concepts will have to change. You cannot say that what I am saying is difficult. It is in the elementary religion. Similarly, God is omnipotent. That whatever He does, it is He does. So let us read these verses again. Acha, is there any question? It is past 8. If there is question, I will reply. You can give the written in the slip. Otherwise, I will continue. Sarvatah panipadam tat sarvatokshishiro mukham sarvatah shrutimaloke sarvamavritya tishtati sarvendriya gunabhasam sarvendriya vivarjitam asaktam sarvabhrichaiva nirgunam gunabhoktricha. These are all characteristics of the kshetrajna. I have already discussed the characteristics of kshetra. Then we have discussed the jnana consisting of the 20 qualities. Now here it is all the characteristics of the kshetrajna. Now is not kshetrajna the I in us? That they have already said. So you cannot refute all these qualities, any of these qualities. They are supposed to be with us. We may not have hands and legs everywhere physically. That is not meant. It is only meant the universal identity, and which never gets affected by anything happening in the the objective world. Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha sukshmatvat tadavidnyeyam durastham chantike cha tad. Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha. Whether it is moving or non-moving, any of the objects or the beings, it is inside as well as outside. It is only saying that it is not limited by space, it is not fragmented by any body. That we think that our consciousness is fragmented by the bodies. It is the real Atma, the real consciousness, the Chit. It is not fragmented by anything. It is just like the sun getting reflected by a wave or by a mirror. That reflected beam is what we are thinking our eye, but the real eye is the original light. That we have to remember. So it is outside as well as inside. It is movable, unmovable, non-movable, it does not matter at all. Only sukshmatvat tat avidnyayam. Why are we not coming to know? Because of its subtlety. Now I said that even physical objective subtlety also we don't come to know. Suppose are we seeing the electricity anywhere? We don't know the electricity. But here it is coming out as light. Whatever you are hearing, it is the electricity which is coming out as sound. So much of knowledge and all, it is all electricity coming out. Are you aware of that? You are not seeing the electricity, you are thinking Nutan Swamiji is speaking. But the whole thing is happening through electricity only. We don't see the electricity, but the fans are running, the fans are not running now. The lights are there and the sound is coming, everything. Still subtler is light, as I explained the other day also. The light, when it is scattered by some object, then only we see the object, we don't see the light. Light is a model. Suppose we say that the sunlight is traveling as waves from the sun to the earth. Has anybody seen sunlight traveling in a wave from the wave or particle from the sun to the earth? They are all models. Somebody say it is like particle, somebody say it is like wave, somebody say it is a quantum, somebody else may say something else. These are all models. We don't see light. When the light is scattered or reflected by an object, we see the object. Just like that, the consciousness, when it is manifest through our body, mind, personality, we see the personality. We perceive the personality. So don't say it is difficult. This sukshmatva is there in objective field also. Then in this case, it is furthermore, it is not an objective, it is not within the objective. It is the subject, it is the consciousness on which the entire objective is appearing to be. So naturally it is, this subtlety is beyond all other objective subtlety. Subtler than space, but not in the objective sense subtler than this. In this subtlety, the grossness is written and subtlety is also written. Are you able to understand my expression? Whatever is gross, this table, this is also appearing in consciousness. And the light I am explaining, the subtle light, that is also a concept in this consciousness. So it is not an objective comparison, compared subtlety. It is something supra subtlety. Super subtlety. Sukshmatvat tad avidnyayam. It is not known easily. He said that jnayam, but tad avidnyayam. Vishesha rupena jnayam is avidnyayam. Vidnyayam. Jnayam, he had said that it is jnayam, and he is talking about this. Here he is saying avidnyayam. Not vishesha rupena jnayam. You cannot see it as different as you see the object. Not like that. Understood? Durastham chantike chatad. For some it is durastham. Those who do not understand, it is difficult, durastham. Those who understand, they understand as their own self. There cannot be any nearer thing than this. That is the nearest. So durastham cha antike chatad. Abhivaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam eva cha sthitam. Bhuta bhartri cha tadajñeyam tatajñeyam grasishnus prabhavishnu cha. Acha, this I will take tomorrow. Let me see what are the questions. If they are bad questions, then I will again continue. If they are good questions, then I will reply. What is immortality? The knowers who lived in the past, how have they become immortal? The immortality is not with the body, not with the mind. Immortality is of the Atma. So I think it must be somebody new who has come today. Immortality is the beyond causality, the consciousness is the immortal. That is, the knowers are not immortal in individual sense. Their individual identity is not immortal. They identify with the universal one transcendental consciousness. So they understand that Janma Mrityu is for the body, mind, personality only. I am not touched by that. The immortality means that, not that he will remain forever. In a way, their mind becomes a little immortal because that is only not knower. Even kavis, the poets and the writers, those who have very eternal thoughts to present, they remain immortal because other people also acquire those thoughts from them and through them they live. Like spirituality. Those who have composed these Upanishads, they have passed away 10,000 years ago or so, we don't know. But they are remaining immortal through us because their knowledge is still being carried on by people. That way they are immortal, not in the absolute sense. Absolute sense, no individual is immortal. What happens is that the wrong identity we identify with the body, mind, personality, that changes, and we identify with the universal, transcendental consciousness, which is one and beyond one also. That is how the immortality is. This is a doubt based on the Bhagavatam shloka referred by you. Is it possible for one to have the motivation to engage in action without any expectation? Please elaborate for better understanding. Yes. That is the only way you can really perform excellently. That is what we have been telling. When we understand that desires are redundant, expectations are redundant. Expectation does not mean that you will not plan well. When you are going to put up a factory for producing camera, you have to know that you are expecting camera. I am not calling it as expectation. If the factory produces, instead of camera, it produces shoes, will you accept it? But you have to plan that the factory produces proper camera which will be sold in the market, there will be demand for it. Everything you have to undergo. But that is not an expectation in this sense. But if you think that, well, after the camera is produced, I will have a very good profit, and with that profit I will do this, I will do that, and then I will become happy. The carrot is there in the happiness. You will not become happy. By that time something else will come to make you unhappy. There comes the expectation. We'll be grateful for your explaining reality. This question is arising in my mind because it is said that everything we are observing, object, is Maya. I have not used the word Maya any time in my 9 days of lecture, which gives rise doubt whether consciousness is real or also Maya. I can explain. I have not used the word Maya, and here it is not used in a proper sense also. See, Maya is what is not Sat, neither Sat nor Asat. According to Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter, Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. That means a Sat is one which is permanent, which can never become absent. And Asat is one which is never seen at all, which can never become present. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Sataha will never have abhava, and Asat will never have bhava. That means Asat can never be there, and Sat will always be there. Now, do we know of anything which is always there? Forget about this consciousness Atma. Other than that, in the objective field, do we know anything which is always there? No. Everything is changing. Even in our body, every moment the cells are changing, the old cells are falling off and the new cells are growing. Everywhere there is change. Without change, there cannot be any creation at all. So, it is not Sat. Is it Asat? You cannot say, because you are seeing the body, you are seeing everything, whatever is existing there, you are seeing them. They are not permanent, but you are seeing them. So, they are neither Sat nor Asat. Whatever is neither Sat nor Asat, that is called Maya, which appears to be, but when you inquire into it, you don't find an origin. Suppose this world, you go on finding out where is this origin of the world. You find out. You may get anything, but that is also included in the world. As I said, that B is the cause of A. So, who has caused B? C has caused B. You find out who has caused C. Like that you go up to Z, any amount. Then also you will ask where from Z has come. If God has created the world, where from God has come. So this causality, by its very nature, this causality can never take us to that ultimate truth. In the objective level, you can never get into a cause of that universe. So finally we are finding that this causality which is in the objective world we are pursuing, it will never give us an ultimate truth. But there the fault is we have excluded ourselves, the seer, the knower, the revealer of the objectude. So when you take that, you understand that the whole world is appearing in that revealer. So that is the real truth, that is the Sat in which the world is appearing to be. This written on the consciousness fact, it gives us an idea of mithyatva also. But it is not mithya in the sense we generally understand. It is called Maya. In 11th chapter, Lord Krishna reveals his imperishable form. Any form is perishable, no form can be imperishable. To Arjuna, if he has revealed a form which is called Vishvarupa, every moment the form is changing, it is not the imperishable form. Any form which can be seen, perceived, cannot be imperishable. By its very nature, form means it is perishable, it is changeful. And there the form was changing every moment, eating, covering, all these things. In context with today's discussion, was it object or subject? Everywhere it is the subject becoming object. Because the Arjuna was seeing the form, there is no doubt that it is an object. But it is a more Mayavi object than the world, because it was seen only by Arjuna, not by others. It was in Arjuna's, it's a figment of Arjuna's mind. With the presence of Krishna it happened, that is different, but it was seen by Arjuna. So whatever we see, even the God vision, if it is a vision that we see God in our mind, it is an object. Even the Brahmakara vritti we talk about is an object. Only when the vritti is not there, the mind, there is no oscillation, no vibration, no form, nothing, then only the truth reveals itself. Then there is no form. That is the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In context with today's discussion, was it object or subject? If you say Atma Paramatma has no form, then how Arjuna saw it as object? It is because of Arjuna's mind. Whatever, because he was in the war, he saw people are getting eaten up and all those things, the figment. It was Arjuna's mind which has made it. Krishna only facilitated it by his own vibhuti or power. But what Arjuna saw was Arjuna's mind. Suppose if two people have God vision, if one is a devotee of Kali, another is a devotee of Shiva, the devotee of Kali will see Kali and the Shiva will see Shiva. That is their own mind's figment. Suppose when does a person have the God vision? I have explained it earlier also. In our Shastra it is said, Devo Bhutva Devana Apyeti. That is the Parakashta. That when our puja, that formed worship of an idol or deva becomes fulfilled and further puja is not necessary, that is God vision is had. When his mind, the person becomes the idol. Idol means, suppose I am worshipping Shiva. Now the mind has to become so one-pointed, given to it, that the mind should forget the whole world, including our own self. Everything will have to be forgotten. Then the mind will take the form of the Shiva alone. Except Shiva, all other things have to be forgotten. Then it becomes a reality before that person. He has a real darshana at that time. The same thing, those who are used to that Ashtaprahara Nama Sankirtana, I don't know whether you have seen, I have seen such things, that it goes on for 24 hours for 7 days. And constantly you are hearing only that Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, constantly. So the mind forgets about everything. The sound overwhelms us so much. And what they will do, they will take sometimes to the crescendo, very fast beat, and also to a loud together with dholak and all. Now what happens when you take this to the crescendo, the mind also gets one pointed to that, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, that all other things are forgotten. Your emotion is carried to that the mind becomes one pointed. Then suddenly they will stop. Silence. So the mind which was focused completely on the sound, suddenly the sound is taken away from there. So the consciousness remains free. And that is the time people have trance and all, various experiences. Now if that person is a devotee of Krishna, so immediately his Atma will take the form of the Krishna and he will see Krishna. If he is a devotee of Radha, the Atma will take the form of Radha and he will see Radha. But what he is seeing is his Atma taking that one form because of the one-pointedness of the mind. This is called Sabikalpa Samadhi generally. If he does not have any formed preference, then he will have the Nirvikalpa Samadhi where he will see he will experience the Atma. It is called Atma Sakshatkara there. Understood? This is what happens. Chapter 14, Shloka 7. I am doing chapter 13. Acha. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha pramada mohau tamaso bhavato ajnanam evacha. The shloka emphasizes upon following Sattva-guna, but according to chapter 22 and 23 of Bhavishya Purana, Pratisarga Parva, states that we are living in Kali Yuga when it is very difficult to follow Sattva-guna. In my office also I usually work very hard, but when it comes to recognition, my boss takes all credit and he gets promotion. Hence Rajoguna again wins over Sattva-guna. How to pacify myself? Oh, it's a huge discussion is necessary. You need not have quoted all these verses and all, because it is a problem in your office. You can deal with it directly. See, it is not a question of Sattva-guna, Rajaguna coming over there. We have to be intelligent when we are dealing with the office and the boss and our efficiency. All those things will come in. There, when you are functioning, if you increase your Sattva-guna always gives you a comprehensive understanding. So Sattva-guna will always be helpful in your managerial job also, or in any employment, so to say, normally. Provided you have sufficient Rajoguna following it to keep you also active, whatever is necessary. But Sattva-guna will definitely give you a larger dimension. Suppose one thing I am saying, often my employee has come late and for that I had some difficulty. The moment I see him standing in front, I start shouting at him that why have you come late and this happened, that happened, we fire at him. Maybe that day he has come, that is great fortune, because somebody has died in his house. In spite of that, because there was an important work, he has somehow arrived, but became a little late. But because of our selfishness and preoccupation with our work only, not having a comprehensive vision, because of our Rajoguna, because I am interested in my profit, my promotion, my work, that I did not even look at the face of the person who has arrived late. Maybe if we had looked, I would have immediately understood what has happened to you. That should have been the first question. And he would have said that somebody has died. Then the whole picture would change. But because of our lack of comprehensiveness in our vision, because of our Rajoguna, ego, that Rajoguna, Rajo Ragatmakam Viddhi, that selfishness, constricted vision, we are not able to have a comprehensive vision where we can take the right decision. We are always worried about my views, my promotion, my profit, everything. So Sattvaguna will definitely help you in having a much better performance in the factory, in the office, in the institution. It will not take away Rajoguna. That Rajoguna will be there following Sattvaguna. Always Rajoguna is there. If you become too sattvic, then of course there could be problem, because extreme Sattvaguna will make you very sensitive. So you will find it difficult to work, because that sensitivity will penalize you. But if you can bear the suffering, you can work. But as I say, that when we become that kind of sattvic, then there will be a compulsion to become gunatita, to get away from the bondage of Sattvaguna also. We will be forced to become gunatita, otherwise you have to leave the job and go away. That is what in Yoga Vasishta will find. The Rajas could not rule. They became so good and sattvic that they could not dispense with the judgment properly. They left their kingdom and went away. And after going in the forest or so, he meets a rishi and then undergoes this knowledge. After getting the knowledge, actualizing the knowledge, becoming gunatita, they have come back and ruled the kingdom again. It might be a story, but why he has written, Vyasadeva has written the story, Valmiki has written the story only to explain this, that this is what it can happen. Because in that case you have to become gunatita to administer the judgment without getting affected by the sattva guna effects. I have discussed this over these days a few times also. So all questions I have replied. 8:30. I must thank myself. Prabuddham vimuktam vikaradihinam prasannam sada nityabodhasvarupam param nishchalam nirgunam sarvarupam bhajeham maram pranomi. Prabuddham vimuktam prasannam sada nityabodhasvarupam param nishchalam nirgunam sarvarupam bhajeham sadanusmarami pranami. See, if you are very sattvic, you will know that your boss is going to plagiarize your writing or whatever, that he is going to take the credit of your work and getting the promotion. So you can reserve your performance also. That sattvikata will make you so much sensitive that you will know others' minds also, where it is going wrong. So you will be on guard. Sattvaguna is always good. It won't put you into trouble.